Thank you very much. You may be seated. And I'd like to invite one of our newer members, Brian, to come on up and introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
First, Richard Andabwa. And Viviana Andabwa, his wife. Last week, and they've been married 45 years.
All right, and now I'd like to invite Steve Wallace to come forward and introduce our guest speaker for today.
John Horgan is the official leader of the opposition in our legislature. A husband and father, John and his wife Ellie have 2 grown sons. John and his siblings were raised in Saanich by his mother after his father passed away when he was very young. John grew up playing sports and was a natural leader at school on the basketball court and the lacrosse balls. As a young man, John worked in a BC mill and in a joinery. He earned his bachelor's and master's degrees at Trent University in Ottawa and then Sydney University in Australia. We're going to want to hear about that. A meeting with Tommy Douglas sparked his interest in social democracy, and he went on to work for members of Parliament in Ottawa and had the privilege of working, the distinct privilege of working with my sister. In 2001, John started a management and research consulting company helping both private and public sector organizations. John was elected to the legislature in 2005 and was re-elected twice. He became leader of the NDP in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, Rotary guests, please welcome to the podium, John Horgan.
Thank you very much for that warm Rotarian welcome. This is a real privilege to be here in the Union Club. As a kid growing up, I used to park the Coho Ferry on this side of the dock. I don't know if people remember it, but in the day, it used to be on this side. And I would look over at the Union Club and think, I wonder if I'll ever go in there. And here I am. So it's always a privilege for me to come and sit down and talk and break bread with people who devote their lives to service of others. And that is something that I've tried to do through my activities in politics, but also in my personal life as well. I started my political career in grade 1 at Lake Hill Elementary School. On Valentine's Day, I was elected the King of Hearts with Laurie Hallier. She was elected the Queen of Hearts. I think it's important to speak to the 2013 election in terms of what is it that John Horgan does every day, because it changed my life, certainly. There was an expectation that the government was going to change. I was the House Leader of the official opposition, a close friend of the leader, probably the dominant, as Steve said with Carol James, the dominant member of the caucus, likely to be a prominent member in a new government. And that, of course, as you'll recall, did not happen. I'm a firm believer in public education. Public education is the great equalizer in our community. It gives everyone an opportunity to achieve their personal potential, regardless of their economic status, their ethnic background, regardless of what they were when they came into this world. Public education gives all of us an opportunity to realize great things. As a sports guy, I've known for a long time that you're only as good as the guy behind you, and you're only going to be achieving your potential physically and on the sports field if you're being pushed by those coming behind you. And it was my view in politics as well, that for us to grow as a society, for us to grow as a political movement, that grouping that I belong to, there needed to be space for younger people to come forward with new eyes to look at the old challenges that we all understand so very, very well. And so I encouraged young people to step forward, and they all demurred and they all urged me to run. And so on St. Patrick's Day, not surprising for an Irish descendant, I announced my candidacy in Langford at the Isabel Reader Theatre, and within 6 weeks it was over and no one else put their hand up. Now, it was absolutely fate that I end up in Peterborough. It was fate that I meet my lovely wife Ellie. And it was also fate that my first opportunity to vote in an election was in 1979, May of 1979. My view, strong view, that groups like the Rotarians, like the Lions, like all the service agencies that I have had the good fortune of being able to interact with in my 10 years as a member of the legislature, has helped shape my view of how I deal with everything that comes my way, whether it's social policy, economic policy, health, the environment. It's shaped by the stories that I'm able to hear when I meet people like you today. Thank you for having me here today. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I don't wear a watch, so I don't know, Ellie, if I'm over time or am I right on time?
Okay, so we're on to Rotary business, and just wanted to make a few announcements. The first one is you probably all received your invoice for your membership dues, and even if you want to make the check payable or dated July 1st, I've got my check here, so I'll turn it into Blair at the cash desk. And past President Carol Nielsen, I'm going to hand over the mic to you.
Next Thursday, we're going to have a celebration. Your hosts will be past President Terry Jones, past President Alan Neal, and myself. The reason is we're going to be installing our new president, Brian Finley, and Allie is going to have a video showing her terrific past year. And she's going to do some thank yous. We're going to do some thank yous.
We had a totally fabulous weekend at the Buccaneer Days where we made just under $2,900 in 2 days. Really good. However, I'm looking at a lot of yellow slots in the schedule for this week. So you will all have received an email, as will all the other clubs. So we need people to sign up. We've got open slots at Tilcombe Mall both days, and we've got open slots at Thrifty's James Bay.
Did you want to say anything about Harbor Cats?
Yeah, just a comment. Linnell is not here today, but she tells me she only has 2 tickets left. So your last, I think Joseph had some as well, but is anybody here that would like the last 2 tickets to the Harbor Cat game on the July the 7th? And we could also use a couple of more sellers for that night. So if you could see me, if you think that you would like to sell 50-50 tickets, the car is going to be there. That's a separate entity, but we need a couple of sellers for the 50-50.
I have a little update on Terry too, and a little email to read from Joan. Now, this was last week, but she was saying, "Oh, hi, Allie. George Zeman came by and had coffee with Terry, and he really enjoyed it. Can you please tell the club that if anyone is coming out this way, just give us a call and the coffee will be on." Jack McDonald, happy birthday. And the one and only Judge Jerry. Happy birthday. We have the one and only
I think he's got the best beard.
Mr. Steve Wallace.
I am quite disappointed with today's meeting and the behavior of many of us here. We have the leader of the opposition here, and all I saw was the guy from Alberta coming in late. Obviously a protester. I'm not in the habit of embarrassing people, nor singling them out. But Don, I've just asked you to pay $1. And Denis, the beard's enough. But sitting there, having everyone waiting in avid anticipation so that they can look around the room, and then finally claiming your prize is $2. I have one very odd one, and that is we have guests from Kenya. And we're very pleased to have them. In fact, I've sat at the table with them, and they're very interesting and very, they've got a great sense of humor. But you've been married for how long?
45 years.
45 years. Yeah. Are you? Is this a legal separation, or just a social separation? You're sitting at different tables.
Any happy bucks?
I've got a happy buck for our own Linnell Sarcolati and the wonderful job she did with us at the Rainbow Kitchen the other night.
How many of you did not participate in either of the parades, the Buccaneer Days or the Oak Bay Tea Party? Stick up your hands. Every single one of you, please put $1 on the table.
I have 5 happy bucks because yesterday, 16 years ago yesterday, I married my high school sweetheart. and we're still married.
Let's wrap it up with the Queen, please.
What is this?